So I wanted to end off this with one more question. You've talked about it in the past, as to do with the BRICS nations, but I know there's a lot of new viewers, a lot of people that probably still don't, including myself, know like the full extent of the Belt Road Initiative. I mean, I have an idea, but could you go more into that whole thing? Because it's a very interesting part of this whole situation.
It's the largest infrastructure project in human history. It's connecting Asia, Africa, South America, parts of Europe. It's connecting these countries through railways and bridges and maritime channels, and roads, and you name it. It will be patrolled only by military and by commerce.
Mm,
People, trucks and moving goods through all of these. It's the old Silk Road. So you have military protection and you have commerce, and that's it. And it's there's 150 plus countries that have signed on to it. And let's not forget that this is industrializing parts of South America and Africa that have never been industrialized. So the need for digital communication and connection is substantial. Where does silver come into play? Right there. So
right.
you need to connect people digitally at the same time, but it is allowing all of these countries to connect, and they are using it to connect into other parts of the world. And I mentioned earlier the railway that is going on between Iraq and Iran. Well, it also allows it connects into other parts of the world right there that aren't part of the Belt and Road Initiative yet, but they're right on the edge of it,
So
and
they
and
could.
they could and they will, and I think that really is the part to take away from it.
Yeah.
That is allowing greater connection, and let me see if I can find it
I would
here.
like to see a map of this.
You
That'd
can
be
pull
interesting.
it up. You can pull it up. It pops right up
Yeah.
when you. Let me see if I can find this. I think I can do it right here. Give me 1 second. I bet I can find it. Um,
I made a video yesterday. It was a article from usgoldbureau.com talking about if BRICS is a threat to the dollar. It was a pretty interesting video to hear from like US Gold Bureau talking about this, but
all right, here it is right here. Iran and Iraq are currently in the final stages of work on the first rail connection between the two states in history with, and I'm going to butcher the hell out of this, the Shalama Mecha Basra rail line that can easily connect to the existing 1,500-kilometer railway across Iraq and could then easily stretch into Syria and Lebanon as part of the southern corridor of the Belt Road Initiative. So this is all very well thought out, and
yeah.
they are using these, like when you see China broker a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran, you're talking countries that have hated each other that are now sitting at the table. And these countries will now connect in mutual cooperation and benefit. And this is exactly what the Belt Road Initiative is aiming to do: connect all of these countries and the majority of human civilization,
Yeah.
70+% of it in and of itself. And there's over 150 countries that have signed on to it, not just the Chinese and the countries that this is running through. You have countries all around the world. All of the OPEC producing countries are on it. And so it is a well, it's the most ambitious infrastructure project ever attempted. And it's a big,
Yeah.
big deal. So the US isn't part of it.
Right.
Most the settlement on the Belt Road Initiative has been settled in the digital yuan. So you have 70% of human population being indoctrinated into a new currency settlement as well. So it's just another piece of the puzzle of de-dollarization,
Yeah.
and that truly means to people who
Man.
are dollars and traditional assets.
There's such a big power shift going on. This is insane. Did you know that Elon Musk follows Wall Street Silver? I
Yes,
I didn't know that he actually followed them. I know like Mike Maloney's letter to Elon or David Morgan's letter. I didn't know that Elon actually follows them. And actually Elon bought a silver mine like a couple months ago. Like it bought a silver mine. Said screw trying to find a source. I'm going to create the source. What do you think about that? I always had a conspiracy, like I think he's buying boatloads of silver under the table, but I didn't know it was this public.
Yeah, I don't know if Elon follows them any longer. I know that Wall Street Silver had a few issues, and I don't know. Not going to comment on that. I know he
Yeah,
did. I know he did follow them, and I think Elon. I think you can take a step back from that and say he's keenly aware of
yeah,
silver,
that's the whole point. Yeah,
and that's really important
yeah,
because um, you know, if you don't have silver, you don't have Tesla, you don't have
right.
batteries, you don't have solar panels. And so you better damn well be keenly aware of silver. And
Yeah,
maybe it's Elon who's been draining COMEX and the LBMA.
right,
Because if you don't secure, and silver is interesting in industry too, it's called inelastic, meaning you need a piece this big to run a motherboard, or a fifth of an ounce to run an iPad or whatnot. It doesn't matter what the cost is, and that's what it means by inelastic. Silver could go to 100 an ounce, and it wouldn't affect very much. Yes, you'd have to pass that on, but if you need a fifth of an ounce at $100, yeah, it's $20 more to the end cost. But so what? You need it.
right.
And so these industrials like Samsung and Sony and Apple and Tesla and Mitsubishi and all of these companies that need silver would be very wise, and I think many of them have secured positions and are taking massive amounts off of the exchanges, certainly accumulating it. But yeah, I did know that, and in fact, when I saw Jim Lewis in Vancouver before things kind of unraveled there, he actually showed me the tweets, and I saw it
Wow.
on his phone. I saw him at a conference in Vancouver. So yeah, I think it's cool that Elon is paying attention, and he's 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 steps ahead of everyone else anyway.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's already gone to great lengths to make sure, because if you
yeah.
don't, you're out of business.
He would be screwed. Like SpaceX, Solar City, and Tesla. Like all these companies are heavily, heavily, invested into silver. Pun intended. But I also think that if you're talking about someone like Elon, he's like the mascot. He's like the perfect mascot. If he, if you're talking about, let's say, I think in Mike Maloney's letter, he's talking about, you talk about buying or producing X amount of Teslas by the year 2030. If you're buying silver at $20, it's like $586 million. But if you wait till silver is $100, it's $3.14 billion. And he's like, that's just Tesla alone. Like, if you can't secure this, what would happen? Elon come out and say we have to halt or cut back the production of Teslas? Or what about Joe Biden talking about the Green New Deal? We have to put a halt to this or something. I don't think people realize that is a possibility. This is a reality where we don't have enough silver to go green, and it's not just going to come poof out of thin air. Where's it going to come from? Recycling. I just made a video yesterday talking about how little of a dent recycling would put on this supply deficit. Like, recycling won't do anything.
The world is waking up to the realization that silver is depleting in nature and is increasing in use sources. And if you don't accumulate it and have it, you're dead in the water. And
Yeah,
that's why a country like India imported 304 million
yeah,
ounces. And if we don't do something to regain some form of fiscal or monetary sanity, the country is in very, very big trouble. We have and are squandering the world reserve currency and wasting away the opportunity that we have to be the leaders in this world with the world reserve currency. So I don't know what the election will do. I'll tell you that if somehow, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone, God forbid, have a Biden reelected or a resumption of the Democratic Party, I would say that the dollar is dead, and we
yeah.
are
I
huge,
think
huge,
anyone could agree. Yeah.
and we're just dead. And I
I
think that in and of itself will make the price of gold and silver skyrocket. Everyone's like, oh, why the hell would you buy that? It's in the middle of 40-year high inflation. The world's on fire and the price isn't doing anything. Well, yeah, then why are the central banks buying more than at any
Right.
time since 67, the second most in history? Why is silver leaving the vaults at record paces? Because they are using the suppression of COMEX, the misdirection of price, to gobble everything up. And then they will just print more money or pull more money out of their back pocket, because they're a huge central bank, to cover their short positions. And they then have gobbled up the world's commodities when no one's looking. And that's exactly what they've been doing, and allowing the suppression of the West to use against us, to drain our exchanges of all the world's commodities. And I think that's a very frightening thing when you understand it, that not only is it controlled by the exchange and the derivatives, but it's being done so for less than pure purposes. It's not just gambling. It's not just speculating and using enough leverage and money and influence to make tons of money. Sure, that's part of it for some of the commercial banks and their head traders, but it's more along the lines, in my opinion, of allowing the influential people in the world with all of the information and all the money to reposition out of dollars. And what do I always say to you? Gold and
Right.
silver,
Yeah.
or prices, are the tool of
Yep.
misdirection. It is. They suppress the price. Everyone walks right by it thinking, you don't want that. And then the supplies are being drained, and it's real. And these are all part and parcel to the same problem that we're seeing.